famous celebrities who ruined their careers. With the number of celebrities popping up in the world today, the expression 15 minutes of fame has never been truer. Not only is it hard to maintain a high profile amongst the most talented people in the world, but it certainly doesn't help when you end up shooting yourself in the foot. Welcome to Lime Report, and today we're going to dive into the top 4 celebrities whose careers ended overnight. Make sure to stay until the end to hear the number 1 entry, and don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment keyword FAME for a chance to win our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. Now, here are the top celebrities who lost it all. Number 4, 6ix9ine. The first spot on our list is also the most recent. The New York City-based rapper, also known as Daniel Hernandez, has only been famous for a little under 2 years. However, in that amount of time, he has already managed to lose it all. Granted, the choices that cost him his career weren't in relation to anything music-related. But regardless, the decisions he made did take away his fame. Going back to November of 2017, 6ix9ine released a song titled Gummo. Following its debut, the song rose to number 12 on the Top 100 Billboard chart. Since then, he has consistently kept up with his fame and dropped new songs regularly. For a while, all seemed to be going well as he began to enter the peak of his career. But just like that, it all came crashing down around him. In 2018, Hernandez was charged with a multitude of crimes, some of them consisting of armed robbery, drug trafficking, and placing hits on rival gang members. If found guilty, Hernandez can be looking at life in prison. However, after recent events unfolded, that might not be the case. On January 23rd of this year, Hernandez pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate with the district attorney. Admitting to being a member of the 9 Trey gangsters, Hernandez has decided to inform on his associates, labeling himself a snitch in the process. However, even if he is found innocent, that isn't the end of his troubles with the law, as recent reports indicated that he is also looking at charges involving underage fans. The details still remain under wraps, but either way, it isn't looking good for the Treyway rapper. At the moment, it seems his choices reside in either prison time or returning to the rap game out of his prime and labeled a snitch. What do you think of the 6ix9ine drama? Do you think he will make it back to the top of the charts? Let us know in the comments section below. Make sure to stay until the end of the video to hear our number 1 entry on this list. Number 3, Michael Richards. The next entry on our list is most likely the hardest one to watch. Michael Richards, who played Cosmo Kramer on the hit show Seinfeld, was at the top of the world, having a main part in the most successful show of its time, with Seinfeld having the highest rating for a finale when it released. Due to this massive success, Michael Richards reached a level of fame most actors could only dream of. Thanks to the never-ending royalty checks coming in for the Seinfeld reruns, Richards was set for life. Slowing down on his TV appearances, Richards focused primarily on doing stand-up comedy. However, this decision would end up costing him his career. In November of 2006, Michael Richards had a performance at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. Initially, all things were going according to plan. The set was doing well and Richards had nearly finished. That was until a group of people began to heckle him from one of the top balconies. There, the comedian got into a screaming match with the individuals, who he then referred to as the worst word in the English language that you could call an African American. This immediately shifted the mood throughout the club as the laughter turned into an awkward silence. The only noise being made was the argument continuing on between Richards and the group of hecklers. As the men made their way out of the comedy club, Richards attempted to win back the audience by playing down the use of his racial slur. However, the damage was done. Soon, the entire room emptied out and Richards exited the stage along with the peak of his career. Following that debacle, Richards attempted to make an apology in order to preserve his fame. With the help of his former co-star Jerry Seinfeld, Richards set up a live video chat that aired on Letterman while Seinfeld was a guest. Unfortunately for Richards, the attempt only seemed to make matters worse. As his apology went on, the audience were unaware of his sincerity and began to laugh. Eventually, Letterman himself jumped in on the fun and the entire apology became a joke. Richards attempted to get back on topic and make the matter sound serious, but by then it was too late. After that, Richards only made a handful of appearances on television, all of them being handouts from former co-stars, primarily Jerry Seinfeld. Though he will continue to receive royalty checks from his work on Seinfeld, we shouldn't expect him in any upcoming roles. Well, just goes to show you that even when the rich are ruined, they're still rich. Number 2, Mel Gibson. Now, the next spot on our list doesn't stray too far from our last one. Mel Gibson, who has had one of the most successful Hollywood careers, is no stranger to slip-ups. And with the world's eye constantly on him, his mistakes were always made public, similar to the issue with Michael Richards. Mel Gibson has had a problem with using racial slurs. The only difference between the two actors is that Richards' career ended overnight, while Gibson somehow manages to get some work. Now, granted, it isn't nearly the same level of fame he had before, as he did receive his share of backlash. However, none of his departures from the limelight remained permanent. Even though Richards also went on to star in a handful of television shows, it's nowhere near the amount of success Gibson had re-established. In a matter of years, Gibson returned to the big screen for both directing and acting, and even received award nominations. Nevertheless, even with all of Hollywood's forgiveness, Gibson still managed to mess up. Starting back in 2006, Gibson was arrested while inebriated, which led to him berating the arresting officer. Unfortunately for him, the officer had audio recordings of the entire conversation. Within the car ride, Gibson went on to ask the officer if he was Jewish, then began to insult the religion, going as far as to say that the Jewish people started all of the wars in the world. To make matters worse, the arresting officer turned out to be actually Jewish, which turned the situation into a much more serious hate crime. This marked the beginning of Gibson's descent from fame. Following that issue some years later, Gibson found himself in trouble for using racial slurs yet again. However, this time it was different. In July of 2010, Mel Gibson had made a call to his wife, which she recorded without his knowledge. Throughout the conversation, Gibson continued to berate his wife on her breast implants and practically every other life decision she has ever made. If that wasn't enough, he then went on to insult her friends, who he referred to as the same racial slur Michael Richards previously used. This, in turn, repeated the cycle of interviews and apologies Gibson is now all too familiar with. Nowadays, it seems he spends more time on press junkets apologizing for his personal life rather than promoting his next movie. With that said, it has been announced that Gibson is in the process of releasing his next film, confirming he plans to release the sequel to The Passion of the Christ. In 2004, the movie made $611 million with a measly $30 million budget. With no road to turn to, it appears Mr. Gibson is resorting back to one of his most successful projects. With the film releasing next year, it seems Gibson's career is officially in God's hands. Number 1. YNW Melly. The top spot on our list is evidently the most tragic. Melly, who began rapping at the young age of 15 back in Florida, started to make waves early on in his career. In just a matter of years, Melly started to buzz, with his peak rising on towards the end of 2018. Him and his group, YNW, began dropping multiple tracks and EPs. But it wasn't until the release of the song Murder on My Mind that the group reached stardom. Unfortunately, they could never form any traction as they were bombarded with legal issues. Even while Melly wrote the song, he was currently locked up behind bars, stating he formed the beat with his chest and that it was a God-given talent. At that moment, Melly had been arrested for firing a gun towards a crowd near his high school. Due to this arrest, Melly actually received his GED behind bars and had a graduation ceremony inside the prison. Seeing how he spent most of the best moments of his life behind bars, it's no surprise we find him there now, in the peak of his career. Following his release, he ran into legal troubles again in June of 2018 when him and his associate, Bortland, were pulled over and charged with possession of an illegal firearm by a convicted felon. They posted bond the following day and were released. Throughout the rest of 2018, Melly's career continued to flourish. He dropped his new album, I Am You, which featured his hit song, Murder on My Mind. For a minute, it finally seemed to be going well for the group. That was until only 20 days after Melly's release that he was again arrested for marijuana possession, which cost him another few months behind bars. After his release, it was only a matter of weeks until the worst part of Melly's life would begin. While enjoying the little time of freedom he had, Melly was again in trouble as tragedy struck on October 26th. On that date, Anthony Williams and Chris Thomas, who were both members of the YNW crew, were murdered in a drive-by shooting. At first, it seemed like it was a standard drive-by. However, after further inspection, investigators discovered bullet tracings that spawned from inside the vehicle. Following that discovery, accompanied with inconsistent stories by Melly and Bortland, the two were arrested for the murders of their friends. Then about 2 weeks later, the Miramar Police Department came forward with forensic evidence that matched Melly and Bortland. After this, Melly went to Instagram to vouch for his innocence, which he continues to do so today as he pleaded innocent. However, Bortland has yet to make his plea, making the situation that much more sketch. It's going to be some time until we find out the fate of the YNW rapper. However, if history repeats itself, then we can expect to see Melly back behind bars. What do you think of the YNW case? Do you believe that Melly and Bortland did it? Which celebrity do you think had the worst fall from grace? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment keyword FAME for a chance to win our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. Be sure to hit that notification bell and stay posted to Lime Report to be the first to view the future content we have in store for you.
Mixed personalities. One day she's happy, then she's mad at me.
I was babysitting.
You were babysitting your daughter. It's not babysitting. You were with your daughter. And you
So
they're talking highfalutin terms, medical, all being medicos. You know, they know what a
And how was that?
Not my proudest moment. Not
No?
my proudest moment,
No?
Stephen. But